Welcome back. A live look here in New York City, where former President Donald Trump's sentencing in the New York criminal case was set to take place this week. Now, that sentencing has been postponed following the Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity.
Many are questioning if it will even take place at all, as Trump's attorneys reportedly hope to have the entire verdict overturned. Still, some are reporting that despite the immunity ruling from the Supreme Court, Trump can't outrun his new September sentencing date. So let's ask our panel. Dwane Cates is here, criminal defense attorney. We appreciate that, as well as Lindsay Halligan, a Trump attorney as well, and Gerard Filitti, a senior counsel with the Lawfare Project, joining us here. Gerard, I actually like to start with you if I could here. So reports of a guaranteed Trump sentencing point to a legal doctrine, if you could explain. It's called harmless error. Can you explain how this could keep the sentencing of the former president on the table now in September, and does that stick?
Not all error is fatal to a case. If there are some types of error, harmless error, that means that even though a mistake was made, even though something should have been done differently, it does not affect the deliberations, it does not affect the outcome because it is not significant enough to warrant a new trial. So if the judge determines that there was harmless error in the case, then he can go ahead with sentencing because it will not be seen as something that impacts it.
Okay. But again, this all comes from SCOTUS, the immunity decision here, Dwane, and we're waiting to see how that decision from the highest court is going to impact even the Trump team when they're arguing that this that elements and parts of this trial was not supposed to be included because he was president. Does this keep getting delayed, Dwane?
Well, I think it does. I mean, if the judge does rule harmless error or just flat rules against the Trump team, it'll get taken up on appeal. You know, I think the judge had a bit of a Freudian slip when he reset the sentencing. He said, if necessary, which tells me that the judge looked at this and went, uh-oh, we got a problem here, and we may not have a sentencing at the next setting.
Yeah, I'll bring that same question, if I can, to Lindsay here. A lot of these cases here, some of them could be correlated with the Supreme Court immunity ruling. In fact, that's what the legal team, Trump's legal team, is looking for, specifically down in Georgia. It could impact that case, the others as well. What are you hearing?
Yeah, well, I think the Supreme Court rulings, both of them, affect the Alvin Bragg case that we're talking about, where President Trump is awaiting sentencing. First, the Supreme Court ruled that the government shouldn't be able to twist and torture the obstruction law to use it against President Trump and January 6 defendants. So in other words, the law was not written with the intent to prosecute certain actions allegedly taken on January 6. And secondly, they ruled that presidents have immunity for official acts taken as president. So the fact that Alvin Bragg twisted and tortured a law to apply it to one of President Trump's legal expenses is an issue that can be potentially revisited, as well as official acts President Trump may have taken while in office related to that specific legal expense, and more importantly, some of the evidence that was shown to jurors in that regard is now inadmissible under the Supreme Court's ruling. So in light of that ruling, President Trump's attorneys just recently, I think it was last week, asked Judge Merchan for permission to file a motion to set aside the conviction, arguing everything I just said.
Okay. Very interesting. Yes, that's the Trump legal perspective. Control room, if we could share this AP NORC Center poll. It takes a look at how Americans are viewing the possibility of prison sentence for the former president here, evenly split on whether Trump should face prison time for his New York conviction, with 48% of those polled saying he should serve time and 50% saying he should not. So, Gerard, we'll go to you. That's pretty evenly split. Does that sort of give you a sense of where the country's at?
It does, and this is consistent with polling we've seen on preferences for president before the debate, of course, and that keeps in line with what Americans have been saying. We're split between the Republican and Democratic parties, between pro-Trump and anti-Trump factions, and that's what the poll represents. I do think, though, that as we get closer to sentencing and close to the election, people will take a longer look at what these charges actually were, especially when you get to hearing these arguments again, and I think those numbers will change. Less people will be inclined to want sentencing.
All right.
Final thoughts to Dwane really quickly, if we can. Trump, does he see prison time?
He shouldn't see prison time. This is his first offense. These are relatively minor charges, although there's a lot of them. But there's no way he should face prison time in this case.
All right, legal panel joining us this Monday morning. Our thanks to Dwane Cates, Lindsay Halligan, and Gerard Folletti. Appreciate it.